Hello, I'm Caroline, and welcome to this new series as I test and review art products as I use them for the first time. Today I'm going to be putting this product to the test. It's the Modelling Compound for Volumetric Art by Kamenskaya. It claims to be able to make extremely thick artwork that once it's dry won't crumble, crack or shrink. So that sounds fantastic. I'm going to show my experiments pretty much in real time, so it might be a bit of a longer video, but I really want to put it through its paces and give an honest review. There's chapters in the timeline if you want to skip ahead, but make sure you stay to the end to see the outcome and also an extra experiment I did that really surprised me. Quick disclaimer, I am an affiliate for Kamenskaya because I've been using their acrylic inks forever and they're my absolute favourite. But I haven't been paid for this review. I received the product for free to try out. I just paid shipping. But this review is absolutely honest and I would never recommend anything that I wouldn't absolutely love and use myself. So for this medium, it is a 2:1 ratio of so 2 lots of powder. This is like a plaster of Paris type powder by the looks of it. And then 1 part of the liquid, and you mix it together according to the instructions. You mix it with a spatula, sculpt and create a relief with your hands or the spatula. And then once the product's completely dry, you can then sand it. You've got 60 minutes to work with the material and its cure time is 24 to 36 hours. So let's mix this up. I've got a couple of canvases here just to have a play with. I'm going to try a bit of a wave design on one. I'm not sure about the other one. Haven't planned it. We'll just see how it goes. I don't want to mix up too much in one go because I don't want to waste it, but equally I have no idea how much I will need. So I'm going to use my cup to measure and mix it in this little tub and we'll see how it goes. Well, this doesn't spray everywhere when I open it. Here we go. Is he going to fit in? Just about. I'm going to be careful mixing this. Well, it certainly was a good guess in terms of how much is in there. Right then, let's get to it. Definitely getting thicker already. Ugh. I'm starting to ache now. So I'll probably be mixing for about 2 or 3 minutes at this point, and I think I'm nearly there. I think I've got all of the powder out from the bottom and all of the liquid mixed in, and it's not as thick as I thought it was going to be actually, so it's quite going to be easier to work with than I thought. Right, I think that's ready. I'll give you a little idea of the thickness. It's not falling off that easily. Okay, let's make some art. So let's have a go at the wave, and I'm just going to see how it spreads, how I can build it up. Ooh. It's very nice to spread. Yeah, it's not what I was expecting, but I really like it. Yeah, I've definitely mixed up way too much. But that's okay, I will find a use for it. Yes, I'm really enjoying watching I don't know if you've seen over on Instagram or TikTok, the this paste is being used to make really sort of almost ripples across the surface, but really thick. And I really love the look of it. It's not art that I personally want to make, but it's very mesmerizing to watch, and that seems to be what this is mostly being used for at the moment. So, yeah, nice to try something different with it and see what happens. And nice to know that you can go really as thick as the shapes will hold without it cracking, which is one of the problems with texture paste. Yeah, it really does hold shapes very, very well. Yeah, these peaks are almost a centimetre in some places and they're not collapsing, so that's fantastic. Get some more splashes over here. Cool. Okay, gonna leave that one like that. Yeah, I don't know if you can see on this side, but this is definitely a centimetre thick. This thickest part of the wave here, which is very cool. Actually, I just want to do a little bit more there. Fiddling again. Always fiddling. And that's my, so this is my other question is, will it be okay on canvas? Because normally working this thickly with texture, I would work on a wooden panel because it's not flexible. So my interest will be here once it's dried. These canvases are pulled fairly tight and I have sprayed the back to make them as tight as possible, but will the texture stay? Because the last thing you want is for it to crack and start falling off the canvas. That would be no good. Oh, right, what to do for this one? I think I will try some ripples. So, I've seen it done two ways. I've seen it done where they put it kind of down the middle. Yeah, not like that. It doesn't look like that. No. And then they use a paintbrush to brush it out. I don't think that's going to work for me. I think I might just cover the whole surface with it because I've got so much here. And then play with it once it's on the canvas. Oh yes, and smell-wise as well. Not offensive. Bit plasticky, but kind of what I expected really. Right, I'm going to spread this out over the whole canvas. It's very nice to work with, I have to say. I'm really enjoying spreading it. The other thing I'm wondering as well is once it's dry, how it will take the acrylic inks. Like, it looks like it might well be absorbent. So that will be another interesting test to do. Okay, right, what to do with this then? Should we try some? Oh, that was really satisfying. It does lay so thick. It's lovely. And then I guess once it's dry, I could sand this to make it really smooth. Wow, that really is holding its shape so well. See if we can see on the side how thick that is. That is gorgeous. Yeah. I don't know what the weather's like where you guys are right now, but it is so cold here in England. Well, it's cold for us. It's about 2 degrees Celsius, and when you work in a shed, it's not great. So, I've got the heater on. That's another thing actually I didn't look at. It doesn't say what temperature is ideal for drying this, so it might take a little bit longer actually than their recommended time because it's so cold at the moment. Or I might bring it inside the house actually, that's probably a better idea. Okay, so I've done my ripples. Got my old paintbrush. Yeah, well, it definitely works to smooth out the rough edges. Just got to be careful not to put too much pressure on so that you lose that thickness of the paste. But yeah, it definitely makes it smoother. It's just going to take a while, but that's cool. This definitely takes a lot of patience, this process, which is not something I have in spades. Although saying that it is therapeutic. Right, I think my patience is done for. I absolutely do not have the patience to make this completely smooth. Hats off to those of you who do make this completely smooth and beautiful because I do not have the patience for that. But it's not really my style either. So I'm going to leave this a bit rough and ready and we'll see what happens when I sand it in a couple of days. Okay, so it is 2 days later, and in that time I've managed to catch a cold, so apologies if I sound a bit rough. This is now completely dry, and I've just been having a look at the texture and having a little bit of a flex of the canvas as well, and I'm really confident that this will not crack. It's it's solid, but it's also pliable. I think that's down to the sort of plastic polymers in it. I'm happy to say I'm confident to use this product on canvas going forward. Like even flexing it like this, it's just bending with it, which is great. Yeah, so no possibilities of cracking there, which is awesome. It's really, really kept the depth of it. It's exactly as I left it, so that's fantastic. No collapsing at all. Yeah, we'll see how this sands, and when we get to, I'm probably not going to sand this one very much because I really like the roughness of it. So I'll sand this one, and then we'll see how it takes paint after that. Whew. Right, that's 20 minutes of sanding. I My arm is aching. I have joint problems anyway, so this is definitely not a long term technique I'm going to use. But yeah, 20 minutes of sanding is definitely much smoother than it was. I'll brush all the dust away in a second and give you some close ups. But yeah, it is very easy to sand. It takes a bit of effort, but it is much, much smoother. And I can see if I put a bit of effort into applying it in the first place a bit smoother, then yes, this would have turned out really nicely. But as it is, I quite like it with the you know, some of the roughness in there. So let me brush the dust away and I'll show you some close-ups. So apparently the other thing you can do is use Kamenskaya's light texture paste and a brush to paint it on, and that helps smooth out all the ridges as well. So I'm going to get that a go now. Yes, that is definitely helping. So I'm finding if I put it on quite thickly on the first stroke, it kind of fills in the cracks and the crevices on its own. And then it's just a case of smoothing it out, which is a very enjoyable process. I've enjoyed this part a lot. And I think it's looking a lot better now. Cool. Right, I'll leave that one to dry and let's add some colour to the wave. So I'd really like to test what their own acrylic inks look like straight on the texture with no barrier and see how they react. So for this, I have got the Barrier Reef, Deep Water, Blue Denim, and I think this is Milk Malachite. And I'm going to use spray bottle of water and a paintbrush, and that's it. Always give these a really good shake because they do settle. Start with the level 1. This is a total experiment. I have absolutely no idea how this is going to go. It could be a disaster. Let's see. I would say at the moment they're just behaving like they would over normal texture paste. So, yeah, no different there. Taking the colour really well. These are so highly pigmented and just such beautiful, beautiful paints. They really are my favourite right now. I would say they are akin to High Flow by Golden, but a bit cheaper. And they come in more colours, so definitely my preferred choice of acrylic ink right now. Right, I think this is going to dry quite dark, so I might remove some of the colours. I do like the patterns here, but they're not working for me, so this is a technique that I like to use on my skies normally. I also love the way they interact. And of course, this only has to be the first layer. So it doesn't need to be perfect. It can always be adjusted with more paint once it's dry. And do a little bit more where this joins here. That's better. It's lightened it up. Perfect. Right, I will leave these both to dry and we'll see how this one turns out and add some colour to the ripples. See you in a little while. For the base coat for this one, I'm going to use the same 4 colours that I used on the other piece. And just to let you know from subsequent experimenting with the compound, I discovered that by using a damp paintbrush to smooth over the texture, it really, really helped. It made a massive difference. So definitely a little bit of water, not too much because it can cause cracking, but that definitely made a big difference in terms of how smooth you can get the paste. So a little tip there. My aim is to try and blend these into a really smooth gradient, so we'll see how that goes. This is a style of art that you definitely have to look at from all angles to make sure that you cover all the little crevices, because it's really easy to miss. And I'm doing sides at the same time, just so that they're all blended in with the painting itself. This deep water is one of my favourites. It's just such a deep pigmented blue. So beautiful. Oh, that blend is so beautiful. Look at that. Oh, I love that. I don't think I will ever get tired of painting in blues. Oh, I just adore those colours. They are so beautiful. So I'm going to check it from all sides, make sure everything's covered. Leave this to dry for an hour or so. It probably won't even take that long. And then once it's completely dry, I'm going to use one of Kamenskaya's metallic paints. This is a colour shifting one from gold to green, and I probably will mix it with a bit of pouring medium to make it more transparent, but just then do a wash over the entire thing because I'd love it to be sort of iridescent to catch the light really well. So that's what I'll do in a little while for that one. In the meantime, this has dried so beautifully. I absolutely love the way the colours are blended together, and it hasn't absorbed into the texture. It's sitting on top of the texture, but just really so beautiful. Really, really pleased with that. I'm probably all I'm going to do, I think, is clean up this motley background here with a bit of a darker colour, and then use my sponge and some white to highlight the very crest of the texture on the waves up here, and that will give it more contrasting values between the dark and the lights as well, because at the moment it's all kind of mid-tones. Always really helpful to stand up and look from a distance when you're completing a painting, because it's very hard to tell up close what's too much and what's not enough. And we rarely, when looking at art on our walls, we rarely look at it as closely as we do when we're painting. So standing back is a really helpful tip. Right, I'm happy with that one. That just needs the sides painting and then it's finished. Bit of an interesting colour, this one, isn't it? You wouldn't think it goes on green and gold, but it's very, very pretty once it dries. Probably doesn't look like much on camera because the effect's quite subtle, but I'll show you the results once it's dry. Here's the outcome of both pieces. The wave is so me and my style. I absolutely love the movement of it, and the compound has definitely allowed me to lay it thicker than I normally would with texture paste. The ripples piece isn't quite as good as I intended, but for a first attempt, I'm pretty pleased with the result. So this is the little bonus experiment I tried. I wanted to see how far I could push the texture in terms of supporting its own weight. So I used a plastic cup inserted in here and then built up the texture around it. And then once it was on its way to drying, I took the cup out, and it's very it supported its own weight really well. Um, I mean, I could, if I put some pressure on this, I could snap it off, but it's certainly strong enough to be self-supporting. So I'm going to put some paint on this and see how this turns out as well. So what are my overall thoughts on this modelling compound? I do really like it. It is a really nice product to play with, and I probably have only just scratched the surface in terms of how thick you can make it on a canvas. I wish I'd actually pushed it further and made the rippling artwork much, much thicker and more 3D. I definitely think there's scope there for making really amazing things with it. The downside for me is having to mix it together. So if you don't have quite enough, you would have to mix a little bit more, which I think disrupts your flow a little bit. But I think you'd probably get used to how much you need for a particular project and learn to gauge how much you need in order to mix up for that. Will I be incorporating this within my art practice? Yes, I think so. Especially as I'm planning on going down a more sculptural route, I would definitely use this for that 3D building of texture. You are able to build it so much thicker than normal texture paste, and I think that's really exciting for possibilities for the future. I hope this review's been helpful, and if you'd like to give the modelling compound a go for yourself, there's a link in the description with 10% off your first order with Kamenskaya. Highly recommend their acrylic inks as well. I know, bang on about it all the time, but that's because I just love them. They're amazing. If you do give it a go, I'd love to know how you get on with it, what you think of it and what you make with it. You can always email me, hello@carolinebond.com, or tag me on Instagram or Facebook @CarolineBondArt. Until next time, have fun and happy creating.